going to be reviewing another goth YouTuber, and her YouTube is called MorellaReborn, and I found her randomly, so this video actually wasn't planned at all. Okay, basically, so I watched her video. I was watching something else, and I saw her pop up and suggest it. And I'm actually surprised her video hasn't popped up before, but I agree with a lot of her points that she made in her video. And what made me decide to do a review on it versus just watching it and not saying anything is because of the vibe she gave off. She gave off this vibe that she was really uncomfortable. And before you're like, okay, what the fuck, why would you want to review that? There's a reason, because of what she was talking about, and I could tell that it was really hard for her to talk about that. But I basically wanted to say that, or to her, because she might see this video, is that you are an absolutely beautiful soul for sharing your experiences, and you're not alone out there, honestly. You're really not. There are a lot of people who feel the way you do about this stuff. So I'm not only going to talk about what she had mentioned in her video, but also my viewpoints on the topic as well, because there's not too much to cover, so I'm just going to go ahead and say some things as well. So she was talking about skin color and being goth, and basically the pressure to have that pale aesthetic in the goth community, or to just basically be goth enough. And I'm pretty sure most of us at some point when we started, or even now, you know, after being in it after a while, worry about not seeming goth enough. And especially when you are a person of color, or have just not pale skin, it's kind of like, are you goth enough? And I know a lot of people will say, yeah, of course you could be goth enough. You know, you don't have to have pale skin, but you don't understand, like she's explaining in this video, people make you, in the community, make you feel bad about that. Okay, so I'm going to go down my list and go ahead and talk about what she was saying. So she says she felt pressure to look pale, and even she eventually moved away from it because she used to have that, or she felt like she needed to have the pale foundation and alter her skin. So she naturally has tan, olive skin, and got a lot of hell and pressure to follow the pale aesthetic from others, which is not uncommon, which is, I think, is a weird, because I haven't had anyone directly say I need paler skin, but you can feel the pressure when you get into the goth scene. And just like her, I was kind of like, for a long time, I shied away from the goth subculture, because I'm like, how can I be goth if I don't have a pale skin? That's back when I was a baby bat, and I didn't know what I could or couldn't do. I just knew I was really drawn to gothic stuff and dark stuff. Like with the Addams Family, I absolutely loved the Addams Family growing up, and I noticed Morticia and Wednesday Addams had pale skin, because pale skin was like death, you know, and she mentioned this in her video. That, I guess that's why most people are drawn to, is because the morbid aspect of paleness, which is death. And I guess if you have color to your skin, people are kind of like, oh, you're lively, you're alive, I mean, you're healthy, because a lot of people like tan skin nowadays, darker skin. It seems like it's the aesthetic for mainstream culture, and being goth kind of tries to stray away from mainstream. But a lot of us can't do that, and I think she covered this really well by saying that it's pressure to do it. But she's literally had people pressure her, like verbally pressure her. I was basically saying it was sad to watch this, not because of what she was saying or how she was articulating what she was saying. It was sad because I can feel how bothered by this she was, and I know a lot of people are like that, because I was like that at some point when I first started out, and then I just stopped caring. I'm just like, okay, I'm so goth, I was born black, end of story, because I liked being black before. But when you get into the goth subculture and you get into that stuff, it's kind of like, you're kind of aware. You're aware that you don't look like a majority of goths, because I sure didn't. The first time I got into the scene, I'm just like, yeah, I'm the only person of color here. And then eventually over the years I saw more people of color coming, but it's still not that many that are out publicly, at risk of sounding repetitive from everybody else, because this topic has been done to death. And I'm not saying that is bad exactly, but it kind of is a bit, because we shouldn't still be going through this now. We should kind of like be moving past it. I mean, I've seen some slow progression, and there's more awareness that this is still an issue, but it is, because it hasn't fully translated to mainstream culture, because there's still stereotypes of what goth should look like, and we're still, even like the mainstream goth stuff that we see like online and everything, it's still mainly pale, you know. Like, there's a lot of big brands that don't feature a lot of goths of color, and my experience personally is that I don't talk about this a lot, but when it comes to getting a feature with some of my stuff, and I know some other goths of color have had this issue, they will ignore you, block you, and not feature you, and it's just, it shouldn't be like that, you know, because they don't want to have that diversity until someone pressures them to do it. So she made a she commented about her camping video, or she talked about a comment on her camping video. In the camping video, she was saying that basically someone was saying that her white friends were a better influence on her than her other friends, because she said she has a lot of different types of friends, different races, and that's the kind of stuff she was talking about. And the stuff where she used to like make her skin pale, and people were complaining about how dark her hands were, and it's just like no one, whoever that was, they just didn't like the fact that she had darker skin and wasn't pale. And she's not even really dark. She was tan. So I'm like, if they complain about that, they would definitely complain about someone being much darker complexion than her or me, and you know, and just, it's ridiculous. People are still doing this. And overall, and this is something I related to so much, she said she wanted to basically disassociate herself from the goth subculture publicly, mostly because of how elitist they are, basically. She didn't say elitism, but that's basically what she was talking about. It's the elitism. The elitism basically pushes a lot of people away from the subculture. And honestly, I've had many periods of that where I wanted to disassociate myself with the subculture as a whole, because of the elitism and all the drama that goes on publicly in the gothic subculture, and the fact that they're so, you gotta be like this, you gotta look like this, you gotta listen to this or that, and it still goes on. And I don't watch a lot of those videos where they're just like, oh, you're not goth if you don't listen to this and that. I mean, I enjoy goth music, but that's not the only stuff I like. I enjoy gothic clothes, but I don't want to spend like $1,000 for gothic clothes all the time. Sometimes I want something simple and black, like what I'm wearing. Best mom ever. You know, kind of pretentious a little bit. Just a little bit. But anyway, basically that's all I wanted to cover, and thanks for watching, Silkies. Check out her YouTube if you haven't. And she does other stuff like makeup stuff, I think, and just spooky stuff. So I think she's one of those YouTubers that are kind of like not watched really, so, but she has good content. She has great camera and everything, so that's always good. But anyway, again, thanks for watching, Silkies. Become a patron today if you haven't, and like and subscribe for more videos.